And that is, we're following closely the fallout as WordPress continues to kind of delve into drama over the competitors' use of WordPress. So drama is escalating between WordPress, which includes WordPress.com, WordPress.org, and also the parent company called Automatic, and a entirely separate and distinct entity called WP Engine, WordPress Engine, which is broadly a hosting service built on top of WordPress. So this has devolved into legal threats and sharply written letters and even some access being turned off as the people who run WordPress, specifically CEO Matt Mullenweg, is tussling with WP Engine, which he asserts is violating trademark and essentially profiting off of the WordPress platform in a way he thinks is not kosher. Now, even though that is the CEO's assertion, employees at WordPress themselves have felt dismayed at what they view as Mullenweg's controversial and public efforts to hinder WordPress Engine's ability to operate. So even though he might have valid concerns, the very public and divisive way in which this is going down seems to have a lot of employees quite upset. In fact, disgruntled employees were given short time frames to exit WordPress.com/automatic with severance as part of a deal, and many took the buyout. So a lot of people opted to leave to escape the drama. Now, why this matters is because WordPress itself is estimated to be in use by over 43% of all websites on the internet. Some of the most popular, intricate websites are hosted on WordPress. Whole Whale, us, estimate that WordPress is among the most prevalently used technologies powering nonprofit websites. It's among the most common tech tools that nonprofits are using. Additionally, it's estimated that between 1% and 2% of all websites are hosted on this competitor, WP Engine. I think an internal crisis of sorts in the WordPress ecosystem. George, an interesting dynamic of this is there's so many kind of like different entities and spinoffs here. So you have WordPress.com, which is a for-profit company led by this guy, Matt Mullenweg, but you also have WordPress.org and the WordPress Foundation, which are more associated with the open source, totally free software. And then you have WordPress Engine, which is an entirely
and that's
separate
a nonprofit, right?
thing.
The .org, WordPress.org.
WordPress.org is a nonprofit.
501c3.
Yeah, 501c3, exactly. So, George, a lot of drama spilling out here. What do you make of it? What's going on?
Awesome summary, actually. And I think it is depending on like where you sit and what color glasses you wear. At the core of this, why we're talking about it, nonprofits. This is a nonprofit. WordPress.org is a nonprofit. Majority of nonprofits use WordPress. So like one of the things that happened in our own Slack is you were concerned. You're like, should we be worried about this? Or, so many of our clients are on WordPress. Like what happens? And in essence, there is very little concern, I think, right now for a lot of our clients. However, the asterisk is if you are using WordPress on top of WP Engine, unfortunately, things like WordPress, Matt Mullenweg, taking over things like the WP Engine plugin, which is underwriting a lot of those sites. It's kind of like a ride-along plugin. Plugins are like these little modules that you toss in to add functionality, security to these websites, was taken over recently. Depending on when you're listening to this, that is a pretty big concern and a very massive overreach for what is a nonprofit at its core, open source. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say, hey, here's this nonprofit, which is under 501c3, non-taxable, has, rights and responsibilities for the public good to provide this code base, which is phenomenal. It really is quite something. I love it, but I don't love this, hey, wait a minute, this other group is using it in a way I don't like, and suddenly I'm going to pull the rug on you, even though WordPress.com is literally profiting off of the .org. And by the way, it's not like WP Engine is like the most innocent here. I don't think it's freaking awesome at all that they have basically, pulled over the code base and then sort of modified it internally, given nothing back to the community, meaning like they haven't published any patches or updates despite the fact making many millions of dollars off of this code base. Like that's just like it's it's annoying, right? It's annoying. The other side, though, is the fact that they are increasing the number of users and organizations that use WordPress. They're making it easier. Clearly, people are choosing it because it's an elegant hosting solution at a cost that people can afford with blah, 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 blah. More websites using WordPress is healthier for the ecosystem. So there's still upside for the ecosystem of a group, even if they are not pushing patches, commits, helpful elements back to the organization, the entity, right? The .org, the code base as it is. But I think it comes down, you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you have a .com, you're just sort of like sour graping and be like, why are they making more money than me? Like you gotta be careful, because I agree that you're going to cause more damage than the upside of this. And also make people begin to realize like, oh, this isn't open source, because that's not what open source looks like. You can't have somebody suddenly say, oh, I don't like the way you're building on this, and I'm going to like take my toys and leave and lock you out of a plugin that like customers are paying for under like service level agreements and things like that. Like you're dancing with getting the WordPress.org nonprofit revoked, right? If this is actually, if you are frustrated because that actually is a profit making engine for your .com, you violated the agreements of a benefit organization.
Yeah, George. No, I think that's exactly right. I want to point out there's the legal relationship in some of these entities is actually really hard to pin down. WordPress.org may actually be a separate entity managed by the WordPress Foundation. So anyway, we just want to throw that in there that we're not lawyers. But no, George, you're absolutely making a fantastic point. And the point of this, I think the real drama and what people are really paying attention to is that morale at WordPress.com and Automatic that kind of like oversees all this stuff is really kind of out of whack. Like a significant portion of the company took those buyouts to leave. I don't know the exact numbers, but a lot of people took those severance packages. So you gotta worry about that at at a company that oversees among the most important tools on the internet.